Right before we plunge into this, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me, where are you watching from? And what time is it for you right now? Good. Let's go. The year is 1347. You wake up in the middle of a medieval fishing village. The air thick with the sharp, briny tang of the sea mixed with wood smoke and drying fish. It claws at the back of your throat. A taste of salt and age. You pull the coarse, damp cloth of your simple tunic tighter around you, the fabric already heavy with the morning mist. Your legs ache even before you begin. A familiar protest against the long climb ahead. You start walking, leaving the last huddle of thatched roofs behind, their low murmurs fading with each step. The path immediately starts to climb, a narrow, winding ribbon of mud and loose stones snaking upwards. The biting wind, a relentless presence, whips at your face, stealing the warmth from your cheeks. It carries the faint, earthy scent of damp soil, deep and rich, mingling with the clean, sharp whisper of distant pine forests that cling to the higher slopes. You grip the rough wooden staff in your hand, its familiar weight a small comfort, your knuckles white from the effort. Each footfall is deliberate, a test of balance on the slick, uneven ground. Below you, the tiny fishing boats, once distinct shapes, shrink into specks on the vast, churning gray of the ocean. The sounds of human life, the shouts of fishermen, the distant cries of children are quickly swallowed by the raw, untamed roar of the waves crashing against unseen cliffs. It's a primal sound, constant, growing louder, asserting its dominance over everything else. You lean into the slope, muscles burning, calves screaming with effort. Your breath comes in ragged gasps, misting in the cold air. The world narrows to the next step, the next turn in the path. You feel the isolation settle around you, a tangible cloak, thick and heavy. Every upward movement is a deliberate severing, not just from the village below, but from the person you were there. Each strained breath, each pounding beat of your heart, pushes you further into a solitude that feels both immense and inevitable. The sea stretches out, endless and indifferent, mirroring the emptiness that begins to grow inside you. A new kind of freedom, or perhaps a profound. The relentless wind finally funnels you toward the great stone sentinel. It stands there, ancient and solid, a tower of weathered rock against the churning sky. You push open the heavy, salt-pitted wooden door, and a different kind of cold washes over you, the deep, echoing chill of aged stone. The air inside is still, thick with the complex aroma of old, sun-baked timber, the sharp, distinct metallic tang of lamp oil, and that omnipresent, bracing scent of the sea, clinging to everything like a second skin. Your footsteps echo unnaturally loud on the rough-hewn stone floor, each sound magnified, swallowed, then returned by the cavernous space. It's a silence so profound it presses against your ears, making you acutely aware of your own breathing, the frantic beat of your heart. You move deeper into the tower, your gaze sweeping across the Spartan living quarters. A rough wooden table scarred with time. A simple cot covered with a thin, scratchy mat. A small, unlit hearth. Everything here speaks of utility, of a life stripped bare. There are no unnecessary adornments, no soft comforts, just the essentials for survival against the elements. You walk to a narrow, high window, a slit in the thick stone. Outside, the ocean stretches to the horizon, a vast, indifferent expanse of gray, rolling waves. It feels infinite, untamed, utterly unconcerned with the small, solitary life you are about to inhabit. The profound solitude hits you then, a physical blow, colder and sharper than the wind outside. It's not just the absence of other people. It's the sheer, overwhelming presence of nothing but you and the sea and this stone tower. Your hand, almost on its own, reaches out, drawn by the silent call of your purpose. Your fingers brush against the cold, smooth, intricate metal of the great lamp's mechanism, the heart of this isolated world. It feels solid, unyielding, yet strangely delicate, a complex piece of engineering from another time. A shiver, not entirely from the cold, runs through you. This is it. This is your world now, you realize in that moment. The brutal cold of the pre-dawn hours clamps down on you, a relentless vice that no amount of heavy cloth seems to fully repel. You shiver, pulling your rough garments tighter, the fabric stiff with the pervasive dampness of the tower. Your bare feet hit the stone floor, and the shock is immediate, a jolt that travels straight up your spine, a cold that promises to seep into your bones and stay there. The darkness outside the small windows is absolute, thick and heavy, pressing against the glass like a vast, unseen hand. You light a small oil lamp in your meager quarters, its flickering glow doing little to fight the chill, only casting dancing shadows that seem to mock the pervasive gloom. Then the ascent begins, up the winding, worn stone steps, each one cold and rough under your touch. Your muscles, stiff from the night's short rest, protest with a low ache as you climb, your breath already catching in the frigid air when you finally push open the heavy door to the lantern room. The air is even colder, sharp with the lingering, metallic scent of old lamp oil, and the pure, unadulterated essence of the open sea. You grab your tools, well worn and familiar in your chilled hands, a bundle of soft linen cloths, a bucket filled with icy, brackish water drawn from the cistern, and a long-handled scraping tool with a felt tip for the lenses. The ritual begins. You position yourself before the immense, curved glass lenses, their surfaces now dull with the condensation of the night and fine salt spray. Each lens, a critical eye, must be perfect for the passing ships. The scraping sound of the felt-tipped tool on the cold glass is sharp, precise, a dry, almost painful whisper in the echoing silence of the tower. You work methodically, your breath pluming visibly in front of your face with every exhale, a constant, ghostly reminder of the raw air you breathe The sheer physical exertion, each smudge, each lingering streak, is more than just dirt. It represents a potential danger, a dimmed hope, a lost ship unguided through the treacherous night. Your fingers, already stiff and numb with cold, ache fiercely as you maneuver the heavy cloths, wiping away the night's grime, the relentless sea salt. The rhythmic sloshing of water in the bucket becomes the only other sound, a quiet, insistent counterpoint to the scraping, a lonely melody in the pre-dawn quiet. You dip your hands in, and the icy liquid bites, numbing them quickly to an even deeper ache. No fire, no matter how robustly built in the small hearth below, ever truly dispels this pervasive chill that settles deep in your bones. A constant, demanding companion in these early hours. The dull ache in your fingertips spreads through your hands, then up your forearms. A constant testament to the endless, meticulous work required. You clean until the glass gleams, flawless and transparent, polished to an absolute perfection, ready to send its unwavering beacon across the vast, waking sea. This isn't just work. It's a relentless, a thick, cloying stench immediately assaults your nostrils. The heavy, pungent smell of whale oil. It's an oily, almost fishy aroma that clings to the rough wool of your clothes, settling deep into your skin. A constant companion here. You reach for the crude, heavy ceramic containers, each one brimming with the thick, vital liquid, their weight a sudden, brutal shock to your arms. Your back already protests, a dull ache beginning to spread even before you lift the first one. With a grunt, you hoist a vessel, cradling it carefully against your chest. Its smooth, cold surface presses against your tunic, a chilling reminder of the raw energy it contains. The long, winding ascent up the narrow stone stairs begins. Each step is a deliberate, agonizing effort. The worn stone under your worn sandals feels treacherously slick in places, polished smooth by countless footsteps and the pervasive dampness. You can almost feel the presence of all the keepers before you, their own silent struggles etched into the very fabric of the tower. Your breath comes in short, ragged gasps as you climb, your muscles straining, protesting with every upward lurch. Your shoulders ache, the heavy weight pressing down, forcing a deep, guttural sound from your throat. Your gaze is locked on the step directly in front of you, a silent, almost meditative focus. Every muscle in your body tenses, constantly adjusting, balancing, ensuring that not a single precious drop sloshes over the rim. Each drop, represents a fraction of the night's light, a whisper of hope for a distant ship, a safeguard against the hungry, unforgiving sea. The pervasive smell of the oil intensifies with each flight, wrapping around you, becoming part of you. It's a smell of responsibility, of constant vigilance. The rhythmic thump of your heavy wooden sandals on the cold stone, punctuated by your own strained breathing, is the only sound in the oppressive silence. There are no distractions up here, just the raw, physical demand of the task and the immense, quiet weight of its importance. You reach the lantern room, finally, your arms trembling, muscles burning, and carefully, meticulously, you pour the oil into the lamp's reservoir. Each drop is a defiant stand against the encroaching darkness, a small but powerful act of will. This constant, heavy burden, this endless ritual of hauling and tending, isn't just about fuel. It's the very lifeblood of your isolated existence, the tangible manifestation of your silent, solitary purpose. You realize this effort, this relentless strain, is a quiet promise. The sheer, overwhelming roar of the waves is your constant companion, a deep, resonant rumble that has burrowed its way into the very core of your being. It's punctuated only by the sharp, keening cries of gulls, circling endlessly overhead, their calls sometimes sounding eerily like distant, lost voices. Days have blurred into weeks, marked only by the shifting light of the sun and the moon, and the unwavering demands of the lamp. You rarely speak, and when you do, your own voice sounds strange, a little hoarse, an unfamiliar vibration in the profound, echoing silence of the tower. You find yourself staring out at the vast, indifferent ocean for hours, your gaze sweeping the horizon. One afternoon, a distant ship's silhouette appears, a fleeting smudge against the gray-blue expanse. It's barely visible, a ghost on the water, yet it triggers a sudden, sharp pang of longing. A deep ache blossoms in your chest, a yearning for connection, for a familiar face, a shared word. The brief appearance reminds you of a world beyond these stone walls, a world you've chosen to leave behind. Later, as you carry a fresh bucket of water up the winding steps, a faint, almost indiscernible shout drifts up from far below. It's just a whisper on the wind, a human sound quickly swallowed by the omnipresent roar of the sea. But it's enough. Your head snaps up, your heart lurches, and for a fleeting moment, you imagine faces, conversations, the simple warmth of human presence. You feel a sudden, irrational impulse to shout back, to announce your own lonely existence. But the moment passes, leaving only the echo of your own silence. Your thoughts become your sole, constant companions. You find yourself constructing elaborate conversations in your head, arguing with imagined figures, recalling forgotten jokes, replaying snippets of dialogue from a life that now feels impossibly distant. Sometimes, the internal chatter becomes a cacophony, a battle against the creeping tendrils of despair, a fierce struggle to maintain a semblance of sanity without the anchor of human interaction. You realize you are not just tending the lamp. You are tending your own mind, desperately trying to keep its flame from flickering out in this immense, isolating expanse. You stand by the window, watching the last sliver of sunlight disappear into the hungry maw of the ocean. The profound isolation isn't just about being alone. It's about the erosion of the self, the quiet, relentless chipping away at who you once were. You are becoming part of the rock, part of the wind, part of the endless, indifferent sea. You are the keeper, and the keeper is this tower. You lean against the cool stone of the outer railing, letting the sea wind whip your hair across your face. The salty air is sharp, a clean bite in your lungs, carrying the deep, persistent scent of kelp and distant, churning spray. Your eyes, accustomed to scanning the horizon, are drawn to the endless, shifting canvas before you. It's a vast, living entity that breathes with a rhythm far older than any human memory. One moment, the ocean is a bruised, ominous steel gray, reflecting the heavy clouds that scud across the sky, painting the waves in shades of deep, somber melancholy. The next, a sudden, unexpected shaft of sunlight breaks through the cloud cover, transforming patches of the surface into a shimmering, blinding indigo. It's a cascade of liquid jewels, 1,000 tiny, ephemeral sparks that appear and vanish with the endless, hypnotic roll of the waves. You watch the intricate dance of light on the water, the relentless patterns, the ceaseless movement that has shaped this coast for centuries. You see the tide begin its slow, deliberate turn, pulling back, revealing wet, gleaming rocks, then inevitably, powerfully, returning. It's a silent, powerful promise of cycles, of relentless change and unwavering return, a constant, natural clock by which your isolated life is now measured. This vastness, this unyielding power, makes your own existence feel incredibly small, a mere speck on the ragged edge of an immense, indifferent world. Yet, as you gaze further, imagining the distant lands beyond the horizon, the unseeable ships making their way through treacherous currents, you also recognize the profound, undeniable importance of this lonely stone tower, this single, steadfast light. You are just one person, a transient figure tending a flame, yet your role here is absolutely critical. You are a tiny, persistent pulse of order in the chaos, a sentinel against the formless void, a beacon of guidance for those who put their faith in distant lights. It's a strange paradox. You feel both utterly insignificant against the raw, magnificent power of nature, and undeniably indispensable to those who navigate its dangers. This constant observation, this deep immersion in the raw elements, has forged a connection, a silent understanding with the unyielding sea. The wind, the waves, the very stone of the tower. The air changes, subtly at first, then with an undeniable shift that sends a prickle of unease up your spine. The familiar, blustery sea wind, a constant presence, suddenly veers, gusting from a new direction, carrying with it a colder, sharper bite. You step outside, bracing yourself, and immediately notice the sky. It's darkening with an ominous speed, not the gentle fade of twilight, but a bruised purple spreading from the horizon, swallowing the blue. A strange, unsettling quiet descends, a hush before the maelstrom, broken only by the heightened, frantic squawking of gulls fleeing inland. A faint, metallic tang, the smell of ozone, prickles your nose, a warning sign you've learned to dread. You turn, your movements suddenly urgent, driven by an instinct honed by seasons of solitude. frantic preparations begin. You scramble, securing every loose item around the base of the tower: stray ropes, a forgotten bucket, even a small, weather-beaten stool. Each object could become a lethal projectile in the coming gale. Inside, you ascend the winding steps, your heart quickening with each rise. You inspect the thick stone walls, running your hand along the ancient mortar, searching for any cracks, any weakness that the relentless fury of the storm might exploit. You check the heavy wooden door, pulling at its immense iron bolts, ensuring they're firmly seated. In the lantern room, the heavy glass lenses hum faintly in the rising wind, and you wipe them down one last time, a desperate prayer against the coming darkness. Outside, a small, faded prayer flag, tied to a sturdy post near the tower's base, begins to flap with increasing violence, snapping like a sail in a squall. It's no longer a gentle flutter. It's a furious, desperate dance against the gathering forces. The roar of the waves, which had been a low rumble, now swells into a deep, guttural growl, echoing the growing dread in your own chest. The sky continues to darken, a menacing canvas of swirling grays and blacks. The first heavy drops of rain begin to fall, splattering against the stone with an audible force, quickly turning to sheets. You pull your thickest oilskin cloak tight around you, its familiar weight a small comfort against the inevitable onslaught. This isn't just a storm, it's a test, a battle against the raw, untamed power of the elements. You stand at the precipice of its fury, feeling the tremor in the very stone beneath your feet, knowing that, for tonight, the fight for the light will be a fight for everything. The deafening roar of the typhoon slams into the lighthouse, a primal, monstrous sound that vibrates through the very soles of your feet. It's not just noise, it's a physical force, shaking the massive stone walls, making the ancient timbers groan like wounded beasts. You grip the cold metal rail of the lamp mechanism, knuckles white, as the entire tower sways, a sickening, lurching motion that threatens to throw you off balance. Outside, you can hear the colossal waves crashing, not just against the base, but against the middle sections of the tower, sending spray exploding high above your head, painting the lantern room in streaks of gray and foam. Torrential rain, driven by gale-force winds, whips against the thick glass lenses with an almost impossible fury, sounding like 1,000 tiny stones hurled at once. The biting cold penetrates even the thickest layers of your clothes, seeping into your bones, making your hands tremble. You taste salt on your lips, a constant reminder of the ocean's violent assault, as if the very air itself is charged with briny fury. Your focus narrows, a tunnel vision on the flickering heart of this storm-battered world. The lamp. The wind howls down the chimney, creating treacherous drafts, threatening to extinguish the precious flame. With desperate hands, you constantly adjust the wick, coaxing the oil to burn true, shielding it with your body against every subtle tremor, every unexpected gust that finds its way through through some unseen crack. Fear is a cold knot in your gut, a primal dread whispering of catastrophe, but it's quickly overshadowed by an unyielding resolve, a fierce, almost savage determination. You move with a desperate, primal effort, your muscles straining, your breath ragged in your throat. Every movement is deliberate, every adjustment critical. The faint, persistent smell of whale oil mixes with the sharp, clean scent of ozone that now permeates the air. A raw, electric warning. You are not just tending a fire. You are wrestling with the elements, fighting for every flicker of light, pushing back against the encroaching darkness with every fiber of your being. You know deep in your core that out there in the black, unforgiving chaos, ships are struggling, sailors are praying. Lives depend on this single, steadfast beacon. And as another monstrous wave crashes, sending a shudder through the very foundation of your world, you stand firm, a solitary defiance against the raging storm. Your hand steady, you wake, and the first thing you feel is the protest in your joints. A deep, familiar ache that has settled into your bones over countless sunrises. Your spine, once supple, now creaks a warning with every shift in position. Your hands, once strong and agile, are gnarled. A roadmap of every rope pulled, every cold metal surface touched, every lamp mechanism meticulously tended. The skin is weathered, toughened, crisscrossed, with 1,000 fine lines etched by the relentless wind and the biting salt spray. They hold the lingering, permanent scent of old wood, the sharp tang of the sea, and the faint, ever-present odor of lamp oil, an aroma that has become a part of your very being. Your movements are slower now, more deliberate. Each step up the winding stone staircase, a conscious effort. You lean into the ascent, using the cool, smooth stone as a brace. Your breath a little heavier than it once was. There's a quiet rhythm to this physical decline, a grudging acceptance of the body's natural ebb. Yet, with each stiff movement, there's an efficiency, a profound certainty born from years of repetition. You know every creak of the tower, every whisper of the wind against its stones, every subtle shift in the ocean's mood. The ocean, once a mysterious, formidable entity, is now an open book to you. You read its moods in the flight of gulls, the color of the distant horizon, the nuanced changes in the wind's howl. The quiet accumulation of this wisdom, gleaned from countless solitary hours of observation, has settled deep within you, a silent reservoir of understanding. You watch the sun rise and set thousands of times over, and each one reinforces the cyclical nature of existence, the relentless march of time. There's a melancholic acceptance that has woven itself into the fabric of your soul, not sadness, not regret, but a deep, quiet understanding of the life you have chosen, a life lived in constant, solitary service. The world beyond these walls feels increasingly distant, its concerns fading like old memories. Here at the edge of the world, your purpose is clear, simple, and unyielding. The pain in your joints, the stiffness in your limbs, the deep lines on your face, they are not just markers of age. They are the visible testament to a life lived fully. Honestly, a silent covenant made with the vast, indifferent sea and the vital, unwavering light you tend. You are not merely a keeper, you are a living extension of this ancient, enduring beacon. You stand by the lantern room window, your gnarled hands resting on the cold, weathered stone sill, a familiar weight and texture beneath your touch. The sea wind, constant as your own breath, whispers past your ears, carrying the sharp, clean scent of the boundless ocean. Below, the water stretches out, an endless tapestry of deep indigo and shimmering silver under the fading light, waves rhythmically caressing the jagged cliffs. It's a view you've seen countless times, yet tonight it holds a particular weight, a quiet profundity. You look at the lamp, its polished lenses gleaming, ready for the night's tireless vigil. You imagine the beam, strong and unwavering, cutting through the vast darkness, a persistent glow reaching out to distant, unseen horizons. How many ships, you wonder, have found their way because of this tireless light? How many lives, unknown to you, have been spared the ocean's hungry embrace, guided home by the steadfast fire you have nurtured? The thought settles in your chest, a warmth more profound than any hearth fire. It's a quiet, deep pride that needs no audience, no accolades, only the vast expanse of the sea to bear witness. You feel it settle into the very marrow of your bones, a steady, unwavering warmth. Years have woven themselves into the fabric of this tower, into the lines on your face, into the rhythm of your movements. Each climb, each cleaning, each adjustment of the wick was more than just a task. It was a sacred promise kept, a quiet defiance against the chaotic elements, a silent conversation with the infinite. You realize you are a small, vital cog in the vast, indifferent machinery of the world, a single, solitary guardian. Yet, your presence here is profoundly indispensable. Your purpose, so often felt as a burden, now feels like a profound privilege. This tower, your life, the enduring flame, it all culminates into a silent testament. It speaks of human perseverance, of the stubborn will to impose order, to offer hope in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a beacon, not just for ships, but for the very idea that even in the deepest solitude, a life dedicated to such a profound service can burn brightly, leaving behind a legacy far grander than any fleeting human interaction or memory. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the timeless sound of the waves wash over you, a profound lullaby of eternal time. You are part of this enduring cycle, a link in a long, unbroken chain of keepers. And in that quiet, deep realization, you find an unshakable peace. The flame will continue long after your hand. The year is 1572. You wake up in the middle of a deserted camp. The coarse, earthy smell of stale straw clinging to your nostrils. A constant reminder of the humble, temporary shelter you found. It's a bitter, acrid aroma that scrapes against the memory of the sweet, calming incense that once perfumed your lord's ancestral home. A stark, painful contrast. You feel the thin, tattered silk of your once proud kimono against your skin, now ragged and stained, a mockery of its former glory. Each thread feels like a testament to your failure, a visible sign of your diminished status. A cold, hollow ache twists in your stomach, a gnawing emptiness that has become a familiar companion, far more persistent than any hunger for food. It's the constant throb of shame, a visceral, gut-wrenching realization that your lord is gone, his banner fallen, and your purpose dissolved. Your hand instinctively reaches for a phantom weight at your side, where your daisho, your swords, once rested, where your lord's banner once fluttered proudly. Now there is only emptiness, a cold, crushing void. The silence here is profound, heavy, a suffocating blanket that presses down on you. It's a silence that screams in contrast to the vibrant chaos of a warlord's camp, where once the sharp commands of your lord rang, where the clang of steel and the shouts of men brought a sense of belonging and duty. Now there's only the soft rustle of dry leaves and the distant cry of a lonely bird. You failed. The thought is a constant, stinging lash, echoing in the emptiness of the camp and the cavern of your own mind. You should have been there. You should have died with him. Self-reproach burns hotter than any anger, twisting your gut, clouding your vision. You see his face, vivid and clear. Then it dissolves into the image of his fallen crest, trampled in the mud. The memory of his voice, once a guiding star, is now a torment, a phantom whisper of lost honor. You push yourself up, your movements stiff, heavy with the weight of your grief and the lingering chill of the night. Every breath feels like a betrayal, every beat of your heart a testament to a life that should have ended with his. The cold ache of your stomach is not just from hunger. It's from a deeper, more profound starvation of purpose, of belonging. You are a samurai without a master, a blade without a hand, adrift in a world that has no use for such fragments. The shame is a heavy cloak, woven into your very soul, urging you to walk, to wander, to search for something, anything, that might ease this unbearable hollowness. You are not merely masterless. You are a ghost, haunted by the echo of a lost life, a lost loyalty, forced to carry the crushing weight of a burden. The dry, insistent grit of the road finds its way between your worn sandals and your toes, a constant, irritating companion. Each step raises a small puff of dust that sticks to the dampness of your skin, coating your exposed ankles in a fine, earthy film. The road stretches out, an endless ribbon of dull earth, unforgiving under the relentless sun. The wind, no longer just a breeze, has a biting edge to it now. It sneaks through the thinning, frayed threads of your tattered kimono, seeking out any warmth, chilling you to the bone despite the daylight. You pull the rough fabric tighter, a futile gesture against the pervasive chill. Your stomach gnaws, a dull, aching throb that has become a constant presence, eclipsing all other sensations. It's a hunger that deepens with every passing moment, a physical manifestation of your precarious existence. You hear the distant creak of wheels, and a small caravan of merchants approaches, their voices carrying on the wind as they pass, laden with brightly colored silks and goods. You try to make yourself invisible, lowering your gaze, but you feel their eyes, sharp and dismissive. You catch a glimpse of a merchant, his eyes meeting yours, a fleeting moment of recognition before his face twists into a smirk. Then a low, distant ripple of mocking laughter drifts back to you, carried by the wind. It stings, a bitter taste on your tongue, solidifying your new place in their world. A vagrant, a man without standing, no better than a beggar. Every stranger's glance feels like an accusation, a silent question of your worth, your failure. You feel the weight of their judgment, heavy and inescapable. This constant scrutiny tightens the knot of isolation in your chest, making you pull further inward, your world shrinking to the narrow path beneath your feet. The quiet rustle of bamboo alongside the road, the sudden snap of a twig in the distance. These sounds, once mere background noise, now sharpen your senses, triggering a jolt of anxiety. Brigands are a constant threat on these roads, and a masterless samurai, even one with a sword at his hip, is an easy target for those who prey on the desperate. You keep your hand near the hilt of your katana, its familiar weight the only comfort in this harsh, uncertain world. Each shadow, each turn in the road holds a potential danger, and you walk with a constant, simmering tension in your shoulders, your head on a swivel. This open road, this endless journey, is not just a path. It is a relentless stripping away, forcing you to confront the raw, uncomfortable truth of your new, solitary existence. You are a solitary figure against the vast, indifferent landscape, a ghost walking among the living, carrying the heavy burden of what was the acrid smell of cooking fires, thick with burnt oil and cheap rice, drifts to you from the village square, a tantalizing scent that twists your empty stomach. You stand at the edge of the bustling market, an outsider in your own land, your tattered kimono a stark contrast to the vibrant colors of the merchant stalls. Your throat feels dry, parched with a thirst that goes beyond water. You approach a gruff-looking merchant, his stout figure overseeing stacks of textiles. You try to speak, to offer your martial skills, your unwavering loyalty words that once commanded respect, but they catch in your throat, unfamiliar and hollow, without a lord to pledge them to. Your voice, when it comes, is a rough whisper, asking for any work, for a chance to earn rice. He looks at you, his gaze sharp, suspicious, sweeping over your worn katana, a weapon that once brought honor, now only brings questions. He scoffs, waving you away with a dismissive flick of his hand, the sharp clatter of coins in his purse, as he turns to a paying customer, sounds alien to your ears, a harsh, mocking counterpoint to the distant memory of clashing steel and the roar of battle. The rejection is a bitter draft, burning behind your eyes. Your hunger, a dull throb a moment ago, sharpens into a searing pain, a constant reminder of your profound indigence. Every passing villager avoids your gaze, their eyes sliding away, confirming your new status as an unwanted vagrant. You feel the isolation acutely, a heavy shroud woven from shame and despair. Later, you find yourself at a public well, its stone rim slick with sticky grime and the residue of countless hands. You grasp the rough rope, your fingers aching, and pull up the bucket. The water inside a murky promise. The cool, damp air rises from the well's depths, carrying with it the earthy scent of cold stone and stagnant water. As you drink, the burning shame behind your eyes is almost unbearable. A hot flush that spreads across your face. Even though no one is truly watching, you are a warrior, reduced to this drawing water like a common laborer, feeling the sticky grime on your hands, knowing your once proud posture has subtly slumped, your gaze now habitually lowered to avoid the discomfort of others. The water, the rough, calloused hand that shoves the few copper coins into your palm feels alien. A mercenary's payment for a mercenary's task. There's no honor in the transaction, only a desperate acceptance of survival. The stale breath of the man offering the coin carries the scent of cheap sake and desperation, mirroring your own. You clench the coins, their cold, hard edges biting into your skin, a grim taste of your new reality. Suddenly, the air is split by a guttural shout, the frantic whinny of a horse, and the sharp clang of metal. Brigands. The word is a snarl on the wind. Your hand instinctively flies to the hilt of your katana, its familiar weight a jarring comfort. But this isn't for a lord, for glory. This is for coin, for another bowl of rice, for the desperate, primal fight to simply remain. The fight is a brutal blur. The cold, metallic scent of blood hits you first, thick and acrid, mixed with the damp earth, and the fear that rises from every struggling man. You parry a wild swing, the jarring impact vibrating up your arm. The sickening thud of a blade hitting flesh, wet and heavy, echoes too loudly in the frantic chaos. A man screams, a raw, animal sound that chills you even as your own adrenaline courses through your veins, hot and bitter. Your movements are precise, honed by years of training, but there's no dance here, no artistry. It's simply brutal efficiency. You move, block, strike. The weight of your katana feels different now, heavier, colder. It's no longer an extension of your soul, a vessel for your lord's honor. It's a tool, a grim instrument for a compromised existence, stained not with glorious sacrifice, but with the desperate need for another day. You see the glint of fear in an opponent's eyes, not the challenge of a worthy foe, and the victory feels hollow, tinged with a profound sadness. Then, as quickly as it began, it's over. The sounds of battle recede, leaving an unsettling quiet, punctuated only by ragged breathing and the soft, pitiful moans of the wounded. The taste of ash, of spent adrenaline and lingering fear, coats your tongue. You stand amidst the fallen, your body trembling, not from exertion, but from the raw, stark reality of what you've become. The cold metal of your blade, now slick and heavy, feels like an unbearable weight. This violent act, born of necessity, leaves no glory, no satisfaction, only the unsettling knowledge that the shadow of your sword has become a dark reflection of your own altered path. You are a samurai no longer, only a man with a blade performing deeds that once would have shamed you, all for the simple, brutal truth of survival. You push aside the heavy, dark curtain of a roadside tavern, and a wave of heat and 1,000 smells washes over you. The air is thick, a dense mix of cheap sake, stale sweat, frying fish, and the pervasive, acrid tang of wood smoke that makes your eyes water. It's cramped, dark, and alive with the low murmur of voices, the clatter of ceramic, and the occasional burst of raucous laughter. In the flickering lamplight, you see them, the other lost souls, gathered in small, huddled groups, a gaunt storyteller, his voice hoarse, gesturing wildly to a captivated audience of farmers and drifters. A pair of wandering entertainers, their faces painted, sharing a joke in hushed tones. A courtesan, her faded kimono barely hiding the weariness in her eyes, sipping sake slowly. They are the fringes, the forgotten, the ones who belong to no one and everyone. You find a vacant spot at a low, communal table, the rough-hewn wood sticky under your touch, scarred with centuries of use. A woman with a knowing glance slides a small, coarse sake cup toward you, its rim chipped, its ceramic rough. You lift it, the warm, raw alcohol burning your throat as you swallow. A brief, welcome fire in your empty stomach. You don't speak, but you listen. You watch. Their honesty is unvarnished, a raw, brutal truth born of having nothing left to lose. They talk of hardship, of hunger, of fleeting joys and crushing betrayals. There's no pretense, no false honor, no intricate social dances here. Just the simple, exposed reality of survival. You find yourself nodding, a silent acknowledgement of their shared plight, their quiet desperation. It's a stark contrast to the rigid codes and polite lies of your former world. A heavy hand claps your shoulder, a burly man with a missing tooth offering you a piece of dried fish. You take it, the gesture surprising, the taste of salt and fish a sudden, strong flavor on your tongue. In this anonymity, in this shared shadow, you feel a strange comfort blossom, a fragile sense of belonging. The cold world outside still exists, but for this fleeting moment, in the smoky warmth of this den of outcasts, you are not alone. there's a quiet understanding in their eyes, a recognition of a shared journey through the harsh lands beyond the city gates. You are all adrift, but tonight, the heavy scent of damp, rich earth immediately fills your lungs. A raw, primal aroma that is profoundly different from the metallic tang of blood or the refined perfume of your former home. It's a grounding smell, deep and fertile, mixed with the faint, sweet perfume of growing rice shoots. You stand in a remote farming village, your katana still at your hip, but your hands are now grasping the rough, splintered wood of a hoe, an unfamiliar weight that feels clumsy and alien. Your body, once finely tuned for the swift, precise movements of battle, protests with every swing. Muscles you rarely used in combat now ache fiercely, screaming with the rhythmic, back-breaking labor. The sun beats down with a scorching intensity, a relentless hammer on your head and shoulders, drawing rivulets of sweat that sting your eyes. Your fine silks are long gone, replaced by simple, coarse peasant garments that chafe against your skin, heavy with perspiration and clinging dirt. Blisters bloom quickly on your palms, tender and burning, stinging with every deliberate movement, a stark contrast to the hardened calluses from sword training. You watch the villagers, their backs perpetually bent, moving with a tireless, stoic resilience that you find both baffling and profoundly impressive. They work in silence, their faces etched with the lines of endless toil, their eyes, though often weary, holding a quiet dignity, an acceptance of their lot that you, the fallen warrior, now strive to understand. There are no grand strategies here, no swift victories, no cries of honor. Only the endless cycle of planting, tending, and harvesting, a battle fought against the whims of nature and the constant threat of hunger. You spend your days patrolling the sparse fields at night, a silent guardian against wild boars or petty thieves, your sword now a tool to protect rice stalks and thatched huts, rather than a lord's domain. The jarring shift from the warrior's path to this fundamental, earthy grind is a constant presence, a quiet revolution within you. This simple, back-breaking labor, far from any battlefield, carves a new kind of mark on you. It's not the mark of a glorious warrior, but of something more fundamental, more human. You are learning a new kind of strength, one born not of striking down foes, but of enduring, of planting seeds, of sweating under the unforgiving sun, in the quiet rhythm of the fields. Among these stoic, enduring people, you find a strange, unsettling peace, a profound impression that this raw, elemental existence holds its own quiet, unyielding form of honor. You realize that a true life is not just about the flourish of the sword, but the sweet, earthy smell of simmering miso soup, mixed with the faint scent of charcoal and drying thatch, draws you forward. It's different from the harsh cooking fires of inns or bandit camps. This is a smell of home, of humble sustenance, and it catches you off guard. You stand before a small, rough-hewn hut, its single window glowing with a soft, inviting light. A woman, her face lined with hardship, but her eyes surprisingly clear, beckons you in. There's no fear, no suspicion, only a quiet, unassuming invitation. Inside, two small children, their faces bright with curiosity, peek from behind their mother's worn kimono. You feel the rough texture of the woven mat as you sit, an almost forgotten comfort. A bowl is placed in your hands, warm, heavy ceramic. The steam rises, carrying that potent, nourishing aroma. You lift it, the warmth seeping into your cold fingers, and taste the miso. It's rich, salty, earthy. A simple, perfect flavor that floods your empty stomach with a profound, unaccustomed sense of well-being. The quiet generosity in their eyes as they watch you eat, not with pity, but with a silent understanding, is a balm to your wounded spirit. The children's laughter, a pure, unrestrained sound you haven't truly heard in years, rings out softly from a corner, a stark, beautiful contrast to the harsh silence of the road, the shouts of battle. This moment, so simple, so utterly without expectation or demand, breaks through the hardened shell you've built. A forgotten warmth begins to spread in your chest, thawing a place you thought long frozen. It's a spark of your former self, the one who knew honor not just in steel, but in connection. You realize the profound power of such small, unassuming acts, a lifeline thrown from the most unexpected of places. You sit there, the warmth of the soup radiating through you, the gentle hum of their quiet lives filling the small space. You are a samurai, a Ronin, a warrior. But in this moment, you are simply a man, remind the sharp, clean scent of polished wood, mingled with the faint, metallic tang of old sweat, fills your nostrils. It's a smell that instantly transports you, awakening dormant muscles, stirring memories. You stand on the worn tatami of a humble village dojo, a space barely large enough for two, yet infused with an almost sacred quiet. You hold a wooden bakken in your hands, its smooth, heavy grain feeling both familiar and profoundly new. A young boy, no older than 10, stands before you, his small, earnest face fixed on your every move. His eyes, wide with a mixture of awe and determined focus, mirror a youthful hunger you recognize from your own distant past. You raise the bakken, demonstrating a basic cut, and the familiar ache in your shoulders, in your forearms, blossoms with a comforting intensity. It's not the pain of hunger, nor the sharp sting of a battle wound, but the honest exhaustion of a craft, a discipline that grounds you. You guide his small hand, feeling the tremors of his inexperience. Your voice, usually silent or rough from disuse, is now soft, patient, offering quiet instructions on posture, on breath, on the fluid dance of body and blade. You watch him mimic your movements, clumsy at first, then slowly, hesitantly, finding a nascent grace. The soft thwack of his bakken striking air is a gentle rhythm, a quiet counterpoint to the distant sounds of village life. This is not a battleground. There is no adrenaline-fueled rush, no desperate fight for survival. Instead, there is a focused intensity, a meditative concentration on the precise angle of a wrist, the proper pivot of a foot, the seamless flow of energy from mind to blade. This discipline, this quiet dedication to the way of the sword, reminds you of a profound truth that had been lost in the chaos of your Ronin life. The connection to your past, to the rigorous training, the unwavering dedication, is fragile but present. It provides a glimmer of self-worth that no amount of mercenary coin could ever buy. Here, in this humble space, you are not a masterless warrior riddled with shame, but a conduit, a vessel for ancient knowledge. You are passing on more than just sword techniques. You are passing on a way of being, a connection to a code that still lives, even if its lord is gone. This quiet act of teaching, of sharing, redefines the blade in your hand. It is no longer just a weapon for survival, but a bridge to purpose, a reaffirmation that even without a master, the path itself can be a worthy guide. The warrior's path, you realize, the heavy, sweet scent of cheap sake and stale tobacco smoke hangs thick in the air, cloying at your throat as you step into the shadowed room. It's a smell of illicit dealings, of desperation, of a different kind of warmth than you've known on the endless, cold roads. Your stomach, as always, clenches with a dull, insistent ache, a constant companion. A man, his face half obscured by shadow, his eyes unnervingly shrewd, gestures to a spot on the floor. You sit, feeling the coarse tatami beneath you, and he begins to speak, his voice a low, persuasive rumble, like stones rolling in a stream. He paints a picture: regular meals, hot and plentiful steaming rice that would fill the gnawing void in your belly, warm shelter, a sturdy roof over your head, a place free from the biting wind and the ever-present damp, a sense of belonging, a place among men who, like you, live by the blade. The allure is immediate, a dangerous warmth that spreads through your chilled limbs. You can almost taste the rich broth, feel the solid floor beneath you. Imagine the rough camaraderie. It's a siren's song, whispered promises of an easier life, a release from the relentless grind of shame and hunger. For a moment, the metallic tang of fear in your mouth, born of constant uncertainty, mixes with a sudden, potent taste of hope, a hope that feels both tempting and deeply unsettling. But then, the ghost of your lord's face flickers in your mind's eye. The rigid code of the samurai, the ideals of honor and loyalty, rise up like ancient, unyielding mountains in your heart. These are either bandits preying on the weak, or a lord known for his cruelty, his corruption. To serve them would be to trade one form of indignity for another, to betray not just your past, but the very essence of what it means to be a warrior, to be you. The internal struggle is a palpable weight, pressing down on your chest, making your breath catch. The thought of steady meals and a warm bed tugs fiercely, a primal, desperate pull. Yet the erosion of your samurai ideals, the stain on your honor, feels like a slow, painful death. You grasp the hilt of your katana, its familiar weight, both a comfort and a sharp reminder of the path you once walked, the purpose you once held. This decision, fraught with the metallic tang of fear and hope, weighs heavily. A silent, agonizing battle in the smoky quiet. You are at a crossroads where the road to survival forks into paths of compromise or enduring hardship, and the choice burns with an unsettling truth about who you are and who you are willing. The crisp, clean morning air, sharp with the scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke, is a welcome balm on your face. It washes over you, a refreshing contrast to the suffocating turmoil that gripped you through the long, restless night. The memory of the tempting offers, the promise of a full belly, a warm bed, a place among men still whispers, a fading echo, but the decision is made. A quiet, unshakable certainty has settled within you, firm as the ancient stones of the mountains. You tie your worn sandals, feeling the familiar rough leather against your skin. You then stand, adjusting the tattered folds of your kimono, not with vanity, but with a renewed sense of purpose. Your hand rests for a moment on the hilt of your katana. It is still a heavy burden, a symbol of a lost lord and a fallen house. But today, its weight feels different. It is also the anchor of your personal code, an extension of the unwavering ideals you chose to uphold. You step onto the dusty path, and the steady rhythm of your footsteps begins. A familiar, grounding sound. Each footfall is deliberate, measured, a testament to your resolve. The grit of the earth under your feet feels honest, real. There is no urgency in your stride, no frantic rush to escape. Only the quiet dignity of a man who has made his choice and now walks its arduous path. The shame that once burned so fiercely has softened, replaced by a stoic acceptance. A subtle strength that emanates from your calm, steady gaze. The wind, a constant companion, rustles through the dry grasses along the roadside. It whispers tales of an uncertain future, of more cold nights, more empty bellies, more lonely roads. But today, its voice is not mocking. It simply echoes the stark reality you have chosen. You are a masterless samurai, and that burden, heavy though it is yours to carry. It is the price of your honor, the weight of a truth you cannot and will not compromise. You walk towards the horizon, where the distant mountains meet the vast, indifferent sky. Your silhouette, a solitary figure against the expanse, carries only the enduring strength of your will and the quiet dignity of your decision. The path stretches out, unending, and you move forward, one deliberate step at a time, a silent testament. The year is 1600. You wake up in the middle of a medieval Japanese training hall, the air thick and heavy, with the pervasive scent of old straw mats, fine dust, and the undeniable, sharp tang of human exertion. It clings to your clothes, seeps into your skin, a constant reminder of the relentless crucible you inhabit. The ache is immediate, a dull throb in your calves, a tight knot in your shoulders, your muscles perpetually sore, protest with every small movement. You push yourself up, feeling the coarse texture of the woven mat against your bare arms, cool despite the rising humidity in the room. The rhythmic thud-thud of wooden clappers from a distant corner already punctuates the morning air. A relentless, insistent beat demanding you begin. You join the others, taking your place in the line. The master stands before you, his gaze like a hawk's, piercing, demanding perfection. He says nothing, but his presence alone is a lash. The first steps begin, precise, deliberate motions of a dance you have practiced thousands of times. Your feet, calloused and hardened, glide across the mats. But each lift, each turn, each unnatural hold sends a fresh wave of protest through your body. The sting of sweat, cold at first, then burning, runs down your temples, blurring your vision. Then comes the voice training. You stand tall, pushing air from your diaphragm, holding a note until your lungs burn, until your throat feels raw. You learn to project, to fill the space not with shouting, but with resonance, with controlled power. The master walks among you, a subtle tilt of his head, a single, piercing look, and you know you must push harder, delve deeper. Your limbs tremble with fatigue, your voice cracks, but you cannot stop. You must not. You repeat the motions, again and again, the same gesture, the same phrase, until your body moves without thought, until your voice becomes an extension of an ancient art. The wooden clappers beat their steady rhythm, a relentless clock marking not just time, but effort, dedication, and the slow, agonizing transformation of flesh into an instrument. Each drop of sweat, each muscle tremor, each rasp of your throat is an offering to the craft, a payment for the privilege of performance. You realize, as the sun begins to climb, painting faint lines through the dusty air, that this pain, this relentless discipline, is not a punishment. It is the very path, the only way to shed the ordinary and embrace the dampness of the earth seeps into the thin futon, a persistent chill that no amount of tired body heat seems to dispel. You lie in a cramped, shared room within a humble, unpainted inn, the rough-hewn wooden walls barely keeping out the persistent night air. There are no grand curtains here, no painted backdrops, only the stark, unyielding reality of your troop's existence, a world away from the vibrant illusions you weave on stage. You can hear the soft, rhythmic breathing of your fellow performers around you, a symphony of exhausted bodies pressed close together in the darkness. The air is thick with the faint, comforting smell of cooking rice from earlier, mingled with the lingering scent of wood smoke from the communal hearth, and the slightly sour odor of unwashed clothes. Every rustle, every shift of weight on another futon is intimately audible, a constant reminder of the utter lack of privacy that defines your life offstage. Your thin futon feels scratchy against your skin, a rough blanket offering little real comfort. You adjust your position, trying to find a patch of warmth, but the cold from the ground always finds you. Your stomach rumbles softly, a familiar ache, a testament to the meager meals that punctuate your days. You shared a single bowl of stew among 5 of you tonight, each spoonful a precious commodity, quickly devoured. It was enough to quiet the deepest hunger, but never truly satisfy it. You close your eyes, the vibrant colors and dramatic poses of the day's performance still flashing behind your eyelids. On stage, you were a hero, a lover, a formidable warrior, larger than life. Here, you are just one of many, a tired body on a thin mat, acutely aware of the precarity of your situation. Every creak of the old timbers, every distant howl of a dog, reinforces the fragile nature of this temporary shelter. The constant threat of the road and its uncertainties always lurking just beyond the walls. In the morning, you will rise, stretch your aching muscles, and don the masks once more. But for now, in this intimate darkness, the squelch of mud beneath your worn sandals is a constant, sucking sound, each step a deliberate struggle against the earth's insistent grip. The path, barely more than a deer trail, winds through a dense forest, shadowed and damp, even in the afternoon light. A driving rain, relentless for hours, soaks through your thin kimono, clinging to your skin, chilling you to the bone. The biting wind, unseen but ever present, sneaks through every gap in your clothes, promising a deeper cold. Your breath comes in ragged gasps as you climb a steep, slick hill, your muscles protesting, burning with the continuous effort. The weight of your small pack, filled with your meager belongings and parts of your costume, feels immense, pressing down on your shoulders. You slip, catching yourself on a gnarled root, the sudden jolt sending a sharp pain through your ankle. The only sounds are the insistent drumming of rain on leaves, the rush of a swollen river nearby, and the rhythmic slosh-squelch of your troop members' footsteps behind you. You hear the faint, distant echo of a bird's cry, high and mournful, reinforcing the profound isolation of this wilderness. Every rustle in the dense undergrowth, every snap of a twig, makes your head snap up, a jolt of anxiety reminding you of your vulnerability, of unseen eyes watching from the shadows. You push on, your gaze fixed on the muddy path, occasionally glancing up at the lead figure, the master, a stoic shadow ahead. Your mouth is dry, parched from exertion, and the taste of the hard, tasteless dry rations you chewed earlier still lingers, a bitter reminder of your meager provisions. The sting of windburn on your exposed cheeks and hands adds to the overall discomfort, a constant, raw sensation. Crossing a narrow, fast-flowing river, the icy water rushes over your bare legs, threatening to pull you downstream. You dig your feet into the slippery stones, gripping the hand of the performer in front of you, a desperate act of trust and shared burden. The cold water is a shock, stealing your breath, numbing your skin. This journey between villages is a relentless test, demanding a different kind of strength than the stage. It's not about grace or dramatic flair, but pure, stubborn endurance. The wilderness is indifferent to your art, to your aspirations. It demands only that you put one foot in front of the other, that you survive. And as the day wears on, and the biting wind continues to lash, you realize this arduous trek is as much the air hits you with a strange mixture of smells. The pungent scent of unfamiliar animal waste, the sweet sour tang of fermenting rice from a local sake brewery, and the heavy aroma of a fish stew simmering over a distant fire, distinct from any you've known. You've arrived. The village sprawls before you, a cluster of drab-thatched roofs clinging to a hillside. As you walk the dusty main path, the villagers emerge from their homes, their daily tasks paused. Their gazes follow you and your troop, a mix of wary curiosity and outright suspicion. Small children hide behind their mothers' kimonos, peeking out with wide, solemn eyes. Adults whisper hushed murmurs that carry on the breeze, their words indecipherable, but their tone clear. Outsiders. You feel their disdain, a cold prickle on your skin, the unwelcome weight of your low social standing. Each glance feels like a silent question, an unspoken judgment. The master, ever stoic, begins the familiar dance of negotiation, trying to secure a space for performance. You watch as he speaks to a village elder, a man with a grizzled beard and hard eyes. There are headshakes, dismissive waves of hands. The best he can secure is a small, uneven patch of ground near the edge of the village, usually reserved for drying laundry or mending nets. It's far from ideal, but it's a space. Immediately, the exhausting work of setup begins. You untie the heavy bundles of props and backdrops from your shoulders, your muscles groaning in protest. You assemble the makeshift stage, rough, heavy wooden planks, hastily salvaged and carried for miles, are laid over uneven ground. They creak loudly with every movement, a raw, grating sound that promises an unstable foundation for the night's illusions. Others unroll the faded, hand-painted backdrops, their once vibrant colors muted by sun and rain, held up by thin bamboo poles that wobble precariously in the wind. The sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in fiery hues, but you barely notice. Your focus is on the task, on creating a temporary world of magic in this indifferent space. Your hands are rough with splinters and dust. Your back aches with the strain. The feeling of being an outsider, a tolerated anomaly, clings to you like the fine dust on your skin. Yet, as the stage slowly takes shape, a fragile sense of purpose begins to push through the fatigue and the villagers' wary gazes. Tonight, you will transform this rough ground into something more. You will shed the grime of the road and the contempt of strangers, stepping into the skin of heroes and villains. You are artists, despite the humble surroundings, living in the space between reality and illusion, eternally seeking a stage for your fleeting, beautiful. The resonant thrum of the shamisen, deep and vibrating, cuts through the expectant hush of the crowd. Then, The sharp, percussive boom of the taiko drums joins, a primal beat that seems to shake the very ground beneath your feet. You step onto the makeshift stage, the rough wooden planks creaking a welcome beneath your heavy, vibrant silk costume. The air, charged with anticipation, is suddenly thick with the unfamiliar smells of the village, mixed with the cloying scent of your stage makeup and the faint, sweet perfume of your costume. The spotlight, a simple oil lamp casting its flickering glow, hits you, and the world narrows. You are no longer just you. You are the character. The intricate, painted mask presses lightly against your face, transforming your features, granting you a new identity, a new soul. Through the narrow slits, you see a sea of faces, hushed and captivated, their gazes fixed on you, pulled into the illusion. Your body, aching from weeks of travel and relentless training, suddenly moves with a grace that seems impossible. Each motion is precise, powerful, an extension of years of discipline. You raise an arm, slowly, deliberately, the vibrant colors of your kimono flowing, a cascade of crimson and gold silk that shimmers in the lamplight. You feel the immense physical exertion, the deep, controlled breathing required to sustain the stylized movements. Sweat, hot and stinging, drips silently beneath the heavy makeup, a hidden testament to the raw effort beneath the facade. Your voice, heightened and resonant, fills the space, carrying the ancient words of the play. It's a roar, a whisper, a lament perfectly controlled, each syllable imbued with profound emotion. Inside, your lungs burn, your muscles scream, a constant, internal battle against the relentless fatigue. But outwardly, you maintain the serene, powerful grace of your character, your intense focus unwavering. A gasp, then a soft murmur ripples through the audience. You've struck a chord. Their roar of approval, a wave of sound, washes over you, momentarily drowning out the taiko drums, fueling your performance with a surge of energy. For this fleeting moment, the struggles of the road, the scorn of the villagers, the pangs of hunger, they all vanish. You are pure art, a conduit for ancient stories, alive and vibrant in this small, illuminate. The last lingering notes of the shamisen fade, and the rhythmic applause of the villagers slowly dies down. You stand backstage, the heavy silk costume now a suffocating weight, your face still hot with sweat under the remnants of your makeup. The raw, exhilarating energy of the performance drains from you, leaving behind a profound, bone-deep exhaustion. The master approaches, his hand outstretched, palm open. The few coins dropped into his hand make a sparse, disappointing clink. It's a sound that cuts through the lingering thrill of the stage, bringing you crashing back to the harsh reality. You watch his face, a flicker of disappointment in his stoic eyes, quickly masked. This meager offering, barely enough for a shared meal, is the sum total of your efforts, your sweat, your poured-out soul, the hollow ache of hunger, which the performance momentarily banished, returns with renewed intensity, twisting in your gut. You start the laborious process of removing your elaborate costume, the vibrant silks suddenly feeling heavy, damp, and smelling faintly of sweat and old dye. You hang it carefully on a makeshift bamboo rack, letting the cool night air begin its slow work of drying and airing. Around you, your fellow troop members move with a shared exhaustion, their movements slow and deliberate. No one speaks of the paltry earnings, but the unspoken worry hangs in the air, a silent question. Will there be enough tomorrow? Despite the financial precariousness, despite the burning fatigue and the disappointment, there's a quiet, comforting camaraderie that settles among you. A hand rests briefly on your shoulder. A shared glance of understanding passes between you and another performer. You see it in their eyes, the same deep-seated passion, the same stubborn refusal to let the harsh realities extinguish the flame of your art. This unspoken bond, forged in shared struggle and a collective love for the stage, is a warmth that no amount of cold coin can buy. You sit on a rough wooden bench, sipping from a small cup of lukewarm tea, its bitter taste doing little to soothe your raw throat. The ache in your muscles is a physical manifestation of your sacrifice, a constant reminder of what you pour into your craft. You realize that you perform not for wealth, not for fame, but for those fleeting moments of connection, for the roar of the crowd, for the simple, profound act of storytelling. The meager returns are a constant sting, yet they cannot sever the deep root of your calling. You will rise again tomorrow, aching and hungry, but you will perform. The scent of roasting fish, rich and savory, drifts from the bustling inn, a tantalizing aroma that twists your empty stomach. You stand with your troupe at the edge of the marketplace, bundles of costumes and props at your feet, watching the ebb and flow of village life, but you are not a part of it. A group of merchants pass, their colorful silks rustling. Their eyes slide over you, quickly dismissing you as inconsequential. A swift, almost imperceptible turn of the head, a slight shift in posture. You've learned to read these subtle cues of social exclusion. Later, a samurai, his gaze sharp and imperious, rides by. He doesn't even acknowledge your existence, his eyes fixed on some distant, more important point. The coldness of being utterly ignored, the profound sense of being invisible to the powerful, washes over you, chilling you more than the autumn breeze. The village children, however, are a different story. They gather at the periphery, their small, curious faces peering at your troupe with wide, unjaded eyes. A little girl, her hands clutching a worn wooden doll, offers you a shy, genuine smile. For a fleeting moment, a warmth spreads through your chest, a small, precious spark of connection that contrasts sharply with the dismissive glances of the adults. You return her smile, a silent acknowledgement of her innocent acceptance. You approach a stall selling sweet mochi, its sugary scent cloying in the air. You hold out a few small coins, hard-earned from last night's performance. The vendor takes them, his expression neutral, but his tone is subtly condescending as he hands you a meager portion. He avoids your eyes, a common gesture, a silent reinforcement of your low status. You feel the weight of this perpetual feeling of being on the periphery, always an outsider looking in, watching the laughter and camaraderie from an inn you cannot afford to enter, a world you can only observe. The echo of laughter from within the inn walls drifts to you, a warm, inviting sound that highlights your exclusion. You are the entertainers, the providers of fleeting joy, yet rarely are you invited to partake in it yourself. This constant awareness of your place, this social stigma, is a pervasive, heavy cloak you wear every day. You are the shadow figures that bring light, the outcasts who weave magic. Yet, as you gather your things, preparing for the night's performance, you find a quiet resolve. This life, with all its harsh realities and social slights, is still your life, your chosen path. The crackling of the small fire is a warm, intimate sound, a steady heartbeat against the vast, cold silence of the night. You huddle with your troop, close enough to feel the shared warmth of their bodies, a comforting presence after another day of endless travel and indifferent stares. The air carries the faint smell of burning pine and the comforting scent of freshly brewed tea, a rare luxury. Someone, the oldest member, begins to hum a melancholic folk song, its familiar tune echoing ancient sorrows and simple joys. Others join in, their voices soft, weaving together into a harmony that speaks of shared hardship and an unbreakable spirit. It's a quiet determination that settles in their collective gaze as they look into the dancing flames, a profound strength that belies their weary frames and empty pockets. The master, his face illuminated by the flickering firelight, begins to tell a story, a tale of a legendary actor, of perseverance against impossible odds. His voice is low, steady, filled with quiet wisdom, a gentle hand guiding the younger members through the complexities of their craft, through the deeper meaning of their art. You watch the young apprentice, his eyes wide, absorbing every word, every nuance, his small hand unconsciously mimicking a gesture the master describes. It's in these moments, under the vast, indifferent sky, that the true legacy of the troupe is passed on, not just in stage techniques, but in the very resilience of their spirit. A small flask of sake, if the day's earnings were kind, is passed around, its raw heat a brief, fiery comfort against the chill. You take a sip, the taste sharp, then warming. A knowing glance passes between you and another performer. A silent acknowledgement of the struggles, yes, but also of the profound meaning you find in this life. This shared moment, this intimate connection, is a deeper sustenance than any meal, a fortress against the constant precarity, your aching muscles, your hunger, the dismissive looks of strangers. They are all still present. But here, by the fire, among these kindred spirits, they recede. Your unwavering passion for the craft, for the stories you tell, for the fleeting magic you create, burns brightly. It is your anchor, your identity, the profound source of me. The biting, penetrating cold wraps around you like a shroud, seizing your limbs and seeping deep into your bones. It's a different kind of cold than you've ever known on the road, a merciless chill that even the thickest layers of your worn, patched clothing struggle to repel. Your breath plumes visibly in the frigid air, each exhale a ghostly cloud, a constant reminder of the hostile world you now navigate. The landscape is desolate, stripped bare by the brutal Japanese winter. The trees stand stark and skeletal, their branches rattling like dry bones in the relentless wind. The paths, once muddy, are now frozen ruts, treacherous and unforgiving beneath your stiff, aching feet. Travel has become almost impossible, and with it, performances. The lifeblood of your troupe, the meager coins earned from your art, has dried up, leaving behind a chilling, ever-present threat. Starvation. Your stomach produces a hollow, echoing sound, a familiar emptiness that has deepened into a constant, nagging pain. You huddle with your troupe in a temporary, makeshift shelter, a derelict lean-to behind a farmer's barn, perhaps, or a forgotten corner of an abandoned temple. The air inside is barely warmer than outside, thick with the smell of damp earth and desperation. The search for firewood is a daily, desperate quest, each dry twig a treasure. You scour the frozen ground, your numb fingers fumbling, stiff with cold, hoping for enough to fuel a meager fire that can offer only fleeting warmth. The scarcity of fuel, the constant gnawing hunger, the pervasive cold, these are your new audience, your new drama. You watch the faces of your fellow troop members, gaunt and etched with worry, yet still holding a quiet, stubborn resilience. Their movements are slow, deliberate, conserving every precious ounce of warmth and energy. Their hands, once expressive instruments of art, are now raw and cracked from exposure. The absence of children's laughter, normally a constant presence, is keenly felt, replaced by a tense, heavy silence, broken only by shivering and the mournful whine of the wind. This brutal season forces a different kind of performance, one of sheer, stubborn survival. You are no longer just an entertainer. You are a creature battling the raw, indifferent forces of nature, seeking any form of work, any scrap of warmth, any morsel of food that might carry you through to the spring. The art, for now, is put aside, replaced by the primal, demanding, all-consuming play of simply staying alive. The weight of winter, you realize, is a heavy, chilling burden that tests the very core of your being. The air, once biting and merciless, now carries a faint, hopeful warmth. You breathe deeply, detecting the subtle, sweet scent of damp earth awakening, of new buds on unseen branches, a clear promise of spring. The grim grip of winter is loosening, and with it, a fragile, persistent hope unfurls in your chest. You reach for your stage props, the familiar weight of the bamboo poles and rolled backdrops settling comfortably on your shoulders. They feel lighter today, infused with a renewed purpose. Your calloused hands, still rough from the winter's cold and the desperate search for firewood, now move with a practiced efficiency as you secure the bundles. Around you, your fellow troop members stir, their movements quicker, their eyes brighter than they have been for months. The hollow ache of hunger is still there, a constant companion, but it is now tempered by a different kind of hunger, the craving for the stage, for an audience, for the magic you create. The master stands at the entrance of your temporary shelter, his gaze sweeping over each of you. There are no words, none needed. Instead, a shared, resolute glance passes between you all. It's an unspoken covenant, a silent acknowledgement of the hardships endured, and the unwavering commitment to the path ahead. You see it mirrored in every weary but determined face, the deep-seated passion, the unyielding spirit that kept you alive through the darkest season. You step out into the burgeoning daylight, feeling the cool, slightly softened earth beneath your worn sandals. The path stretches out before you, winding into the distance, leading to the next village, the next performance, the next eager crowd. You imagine the faces, the gasps, the laughter, the roar of applause, the fleeting, precious moments when you transcend your low status and become something extraordinary. The journey begins again. Your footsteps fall into a steady rhythm, lighter than before, carrying not just your bodies and your props, but the accumulated stories, the quiet resilience, and the unshakable faith in your art. The wind, no longer a hostile adversary, now seems to whisper encouragement through the emerging leaves. This enduring cycle, this constant movement, is your life. It is the unvarnished truth of your existence, a testament to a spirit that refuses to be broken. You are a traveling troupe, forever moving towards the horizon, carrying a flame of hope that even the harshest winter cannot extinguish. Your art is your enduring legacy. The year is 1650. You wake up in the middle of a medieval Japanese town, the air thick with the smell of roasting chestnuts and damp earth, a familiar comfort. But it's a comfort that is always fragile, always ready to shatter. You are walking through the bustling market, your senses alive to the shouts of vendors, the chatter of children, the creak of wooden carts. Your basket feels light in your hand, a few meager coins clinking softly inside. Then a sound, not a loud sound, but one that instantly stills the joyous hum of the market. A subtle change that tightens the muscles in your back. It's the distinct, rhythmic clack of wooden sandals on the stone path, accompanied by the faint, authoritative rustle of fine silk. Your head doesn't turn, but your eyes, along with every other commoner's, subtly shift, scanning the crowd. There they are, two samurai, their figures tall and imposing even from a distance, their swords, the long katana and shorter wakizashi, prominent at their hips. The glint of sunlight on their polished armor sends a chill down your spine, colder than the morning air. Your heartbeat quickens, a sudden, frantic drum against your ribs. You can feel the cold sweat bloom on your palms, a stark contrast to the mild warmth of the day. The vibrant market stalls, moments ago a blur of color and sound, now seem to press in, offering no escape. You instinctively lower your gaze, keeping your eyes fixed on the uneven cobblestones directly in front of your worn sandals. You know the invisible line, the unspoken boundary that cannot be crossed. No direct eye contact, no sudden movements, no perceived disrespect. The slightest misstep, the smallest offense, real or imagined, could mean a swift, brutal end. You feel the collective tension of the crowd around you. The boisterous chatter has died to a hushed murmur. Merchants who were loudly hawking their wares are now silently tending their stalls, their heads bowed. Even the children, usually oblivious, cling tighter to their parents' kimonos, sensing the sudden, pervasive shift in the air, the clang of armor, as one of the samurai adjusts his posture sounds impossibly loud in the unnatural quiet. You sense his dismissive glance as he sweeps his eyes over the bowing forms, an invisible weight pressing down on everyone. You concentrate on your breathing, trying to keep it shallow, even. The metallic tang of fear fills your mouth, a bitter taste that overpowers the sweet chestnuts. This is the constant reality of your life, the pervasive, silent terror that hums beneath the surface of every ordinary day. Your existence and your life hangs by an invisible thread, dependent on the whim of the smooth, cool wood of your katana's saya. Its sheath presses against your hip, a constant, familiar weight that settles deep into your muscle memory. It's more than just a weapon. It is an extension of yourself, a symbol of your station, your family's honor, your very being. The stiff fabric of your formal attire, a coarse, dark blue silk, rustles with each precise, measured step, announcing your presence, your rank. You feel the subtle, quiet pride in your stride, a confidence born of privilege and rigorous training. You walk through the bustling market, the smells of fermenting miso and frying fish assaulting your senses, a chaotic symphony of common life. Your gaze, however, remains steady, scrutinizing. You sweep your eyes over the huddled commoners, their heads bowed, their movements curtailed as you pass. You sense their fear, a palpable thing that ripples through the crowd, and a subtle disdain for their low station curls in your gut. They are beneath you, their lives less valuable, their existence a backdrop to your more important purpose. This is the order of the world. But even with that disdain, there's a hidden sense of unease that tugs at the edges of your composure. The right to kirisuit gomen, to cut down a rude fellow, is a heavy burden, a privilege that demands constant vigilance. Is that merchant staring too long? Did that peasant boy make a disrespectful sound? The questions, fleeting and sharp, dart through your mind. It's not just about asserting your authority. It's about maintaining the delicate balance, upholding the honor of your house, of your lord, of your entire class. The societal pressure to never appear weak, never to tolerate a slight, is immense. A constant, silent weight on your shoulders. Your hand, almost imperceptibly, brushes against the hilt of your katana. It's a habit, a reassurance, a readiness. You are a protector, yes, but also a potential executioner. The power you wield, the lives you could end with a single, swift draw of steel, is a chilling thought. It's a duty, you remind yourself, a necessary component of the samurai class, to keep order, to maintain respect. But the act itself, the internal monologue, debates the justice, the necessity. You continue your measured walk, the clamor of the market slowly fading behind you. The subtle disdain for the commoners is a shield, but beneath it, the quiet unease, the moral weight of this difficult privilege remains. The path of a samurai, you realize, is not just one of glory. The humid air of the rice paddies clings to your skin, thick with the earthy smell of damp soil and growing stalks. You walk along the narrow, raised path between the flooded fields, a heavy bundle of harvested rice stalks pressing into your shoulders, its weight a familiar ache. The rhythmic squelch of mud under your bare feet is the only sound, a steady counterpoint to the distant croaking of frogs. Your focus is entirely on the precarious path, one foot in front of the other, each step an effort. Then a sudden, sharp command slices through the quiet. It's a voice of authority, cold and clear, from behind you. Your heart leaps into your throat, a sickening drop in your stomach. Panic, immediate and visceral, floods your senses. You freeze, the heavy load on your back suddenly feeling 10 times heavier, threatening to throw you off balance. You know that voice. You know what it means. You turn slowly, carefully, keeping your head bowed, your eyes fixed on the muddy ground at your feet. A samurai stands there, his rich silks a stark contrast to the drab greens and browns of the fields. He points to a patch of disturbed mud just off the path. Your foot, in your desperate focus on balance, must have strayed, splattering a speck of mud onto his immaculate, polished wooden sandal. A perceived offense, a grave error. Your mind races, a flurry of desperate thoughts. You bow deeper, your forehead almost touching your knees, your entire body trembling. You try to speak, to apologize, but the words catch in your throat, a dry, choked sound. Your hands, still raw from the harvest, clench at your sides. Every fiber of your being screams in terror. You imagine the flash of steel, the cold bite of the blade, the sudden, brutal end, the humid air, which a moment ago felt merely heavy, now feels suffocating, pressing down on you. The silence stretches, thick and unbearable, punctuated only by the frantic pounding of your own heart. You can feel his scrutinizing gaze, a burning weight on your bowed head, dissecting your every trembling movement. The smell of the rich earth now feels tainted with fear. Then, after an eternity, a dismissive grunt. A subtle shift in his stance. The footsteps resume, moving away from you. You don't dare to look up. until the sounds are completely gone, until the distant rustle of his silk fades into the sounds of the fields. You remain there, head bowed, for long moments, trembling, your stomach still churning with fear. The load on your back feels impossibly heavy. The simple, mundane act of walking home has just become a stark, terrifying reminder of the invisible line that separates your life from theirs, and the rough texture of your coarse work clothes chafes against your skin, heavy with the day's sweat and clinging dust. Your muscles ache, a deep, pervasive throb in your lower back, your shoulders, your forearms. It's the familiar protest of a body pushed to its limits, the constant companion of a commoner's life. The rhythmic thump-thump of the wooden mallet as you thresh grain, or the steady swish of a hoe through hard soil, fills the air, a relentless symphony of manual labor that has defined your day. And countless days before it, the sun beats down with an unyielding intensity, baking the earth, drawing rivulets of sweat that sting your eyes. Your hands, calloused and cracked, are stained with the dirt of the fields, a permanent testament to your toil. This is the tangible reality of your existence, the constant physical effort, the direct connection to the land that feeds you, that sustains your family. At midday, you sit with your family, sharing a meager meal, the taste of plain, unembellished rice, perhaps with a few salted vegetables, fills your mouth. It's simple, honest food, quickly devoured, yet each mouthful is precious, a quiet victory against the constant threat of hunger. The shared silence, punctuated by the soft sounds of chewing and the distant hum of insects, is a fleeting pleasure, a moment of respite that tastes sweeter for its simplicity. As you eat, you catch a glimpse of a samurai, distant and aloof, riding on the road above your village. His rich silks, his gleaming armor, his effortless grace are a stark, almost absurd contrast to your own sweat-soaked reality. His power is abstract, a silent threat that hovers over your life, while your power is concrete. The strength in your aching muscles, the ability to coax sustenance from the stubborn earth. You are acutely aware of the vast chasm between your two worlds, the invisible line of social standing that separates you forever. Deep fatigue has settled into your bones, a heavy weight that pulls at you, promising a swift, dreamless sleep. Yet even in this exhaustion, there's a profound resilience. It's in the quiet determination in your eyes, in the steady rhythm of your work, in the unwavering commitment to your family. This isn't just survival. It's a stubborn, enduring act of defiance against a world that often seems indifferent to your struggles. You are a commoner, a foundation stone of this society, and your unwavering persistence, the vibrant cacophony of the market, moments ago a blur of shouts and laughter, shatters. It's replaced by a sudden, horrifying silence, so profound it presses against your ears, making your own heart pound like a frantic drum. You stand frozen, clutching your basket, eyes wide with terror, unable to move, unable to breathe. A sharp gasp, a collective intake of breath from the frozen crowd, is the only sound you hear. Then the sickening thud as a body hits the hard-packed earth. You don't look directly, but the image is burned into your mind's periphery. A commoner, a man you recognized from the vegetable stall, now a crumpled heap, his life extinguished in a single, brutal moment. The air around you, once thick with the smell of roasting fish and fresh produce, is suddenly tainted. A metallic tang, the unmistakable scent of fresh blood, prickles your nostrils, a visceral assault that makes your stomach churn. You can feel the collective holding of breath from the crowd, a paralyzed tableau of terror. Every person acutely aware of the invisible line that was crossed. The swift, merciless retribution. The samurai, his sword still glinting with a horrifying wetness, looks down at his victim for only a moment. His face is impassive, cold, utterly devoid of emotion. Then, with a casual flick of his wrist, he cleans his blade on the dead man's kimono, a gesture of profound disdain. The rustle of his silk as he turns and walks away is the loudest sound, fading quickly, his form disappearing into the bustling street as if nothing had happened, as if a life had not just been violently, legally extinguished. The space he leaves behind feels suddenly cold, empty, a gaping void where life once stood. No one moves. No one dares to speak. Your own muscles refuse to obey, your feet rooted to the spot, trapped in the terror of what you just witnessed. You keep your head bowed, your eyes tightly shut, but the image of the crumpled form, the cold, indifferent samurai, replays endlessly in your mind. Then, slowly, hesitantly, the first movements begin, a quick, scurrying retreat of feet as people melt away, desperately trying to erase themselves from the scene. You force your own legs to move, stiff and trembling, moving away from the lingering, cold emptiness of the space where a man ceased to exist. The terrifying reality of Kirasut Gomen isn't just a law. It's a living. The air in the small, dimly lit home is heavy, thick with the smell of damp straw mats, and the profound, gut-wrenching grief that presses down on everyone. You sit on the edge of the room, your own heart a cold, heavy stone in your chest, listening to the quiet, broken sobs of the widow. Her cries are not loud, not public, but deep, tearing sounds that speak of shattered lives and unimaginable loss. There is no clamor for justice, no public outrage. There cannot be. The memory of the samurai's cold, impassive face, the brutal finality of his blade, is too fresh, too terrifying. This is a grief that must be contained, suppressed, hidden from the world. A small, humble bowl of rice is passed to you, its plain, unembellished taste a cold comfort. You eat, or rather, you go through the motions, each mouthful feeling like ash. Around you, the other villagers, the neighbors, move with hushed steps, their faces drawn with sorrow and a deeper, more pervasive fear. Their whispers are barely audible, just soft sighs and half-finished sentences, speaking of the tragedy, of the injustice, but always with an undercurrent of caution, a silent understanding that walls have ears and powerful men have long memories. You feel the weight of that unspoken fear pressing down on the entire community. A heavy blanket smothering any urge to openly mourn, to rage, to demand recourse. There is none. The law, as brutal and unyielding as the samurai's blade, protects them, not you. This incident, this casual act of violence, is not an anomaly. It is a reinforcement, a stark, terrifying reminder of your place, of your fragility in the grand scheme of things. Later, you watch the widow, her shoulders shaking, as she lights a single stick of incense before a small family shrine. Her silent prayers are offered to ancestors, a desperate plea for solace, for understanding in a world that offers none. The faint, sweet smell of the incense, usually calming, now feels mournful, clinging to the air like a lament. This is the silent burden carried by the common folk. Not just the physical toil, not just the constant threat of hunger, but the profound, insidious terror of a life that can be extinguished on a whim, without consequence. The memory of the metal tang of blood in the market, the cold emptiness of the space where life once bloomed, is not forgotten. The faint, delicate scent of cherry blossoms drifts through the open shoji screen, a gentle contrast to the metallic tang that still lingers faintly in your memory. You sit in your quiet room, the cool, smooth feel of your katanas, hilt a familiar presence under your thumb. It rests on its stand, pristine, a silent sentinel of your power. Your gaze is fixed on the intricate patterns of the garden outside, but your mind is elsewhere, replaying the swift, decisive moment in the market. He was disrespectful. He failed to bow. He stained my sandal. The justifications learned from childhood roll through your thoughts, a well-worn path of self-vindication. Your honor, the honor of your house, demanded action. Society expects it. To allow such insolence to pass would be a sign of weakness, an invitation for further disrespect, an erosion of the very fabric of order. A sense of quiet pride swells in your chest. You did your duty. You upheld your station. You enforced the law. This pride, however, is a complex thing, mixed with a deeper, unacknowledged weight that settles behind your stern gaze. The silence of the room, punctuated only by the gentle rustle of the cherry blossoms, feels heavy, reflecting the profound isolation of your power. No one can question your right, your action, but no one can truly share the burden of it either. You take a single, deliberate breath, drawing in the sweet spring air, holding it, then releasing it slowly. This privilege, this right to dispense life and death, is a lonely one. It elevates you, sets you apart, but it also separates you, creating a chasm between your world and theirs. You are a guardian, a symbol of authority, but also an instrument of fear. The commoner's terror, their averted eyes, their hushed movements, these are proof of your effectiveness, your necessary role. But in the quiet moments, when the justifications have been recited and the pride has settled, a faint unease lingers. It's not regret, not exactly. It's a subtle shift in the landscape of your soul, a deepening of the chasm between the ideal of honor and the stark reality of the blade's edge. You are a samurai, and this is your unwavering truth, the heavy mantle of your power, carried with a silent, resolute burden that only you truly know. The sword, you realize, cuts both ways, defining not just the lives of others, but the very core of your own. The comforting warmth of shared sake burns a welcome path down your throat, a quiet fire against the bitter chill of the evening. You sit pressed shoulder to shoulder with your neighbors and friends in a cramped, humble shed behind the tea house. The air is thick, redolent with the earthy scent of drying straw, the sweet, raw aroma of the rice wine, and the close, vital scent of human bodies. A stark contrast to the vast, cold world outside. It's a secret gathering, a brief, precious respite, where the very act of breathing freely feels like an act of defiance. Around you, faces etched with the lines of endless toil are softened now by the flickering lamplight and the shared warmth. There's a quiet easing of shoulders, a subtle relaxation of guarded expressions. A woman, her voice a soft, melancholic whisper, begins to hum an old, forbidden folk song. Others join in, their voices weaving together into a gentle chorus that speaks of shared sorrows and an enduring spirit. It's a collective memory, passed down in hushed tones, a quiet act of rebellion against the imposed silence of those who rule. You feel the palpable strength of their camaraderie, a profound force that binds you together in shared hardship, a fortress built of mutual trust. Suddenly, a distant clack-clack of wooden sandals on the main road, followed by the faint, authoritative rustle of silk. A samurai is passing. Every voice instantly falls silent. Every body stills. You exchange a quick, knowing glance with the man next to you, his eyes meeting yours with a flash of understanding, a shared defiance that needs no words. It's a silent promise to protect this fragile peace, to keep these small acts of humanity alive, to never let the fear truly extinguish the spark within. The metallic tang of fear still touches your tongue, but it's no longer paralyzing. It is tempered by this profound, collective strength, a quiet knowing that you are not alone in this subtle, dangerous game. Later, as the moonlight filters through the gaps in the thatch, a child giggles softly from a corner, a pure, innocent sound that is both startling and heartwarming, the knowing smile that passes between you and the mother. A faint hope in its gentle curve is a powerful, silent act. It's a promise of continuity, of life persisting, even thriving, despite the oppressive shadow cast by power. These small, hidden circles, these hushed songs, these shared glances, they are your armor, your true strength. They are the unwritten rules of survival, a testament to the enduring human spirit that finds light even in the deepest shadows, weaving threads of connection in a world determined, a A strange, almost imperceptible scent now occasionally mingles with the familiar aromas of miso and charcoal in the bustling city air. It's a sharp, unfamiliar spice, perhaps a foreign wood or a different kind of dye, carried on the breeze from the distant docks. It's subtle yet distinct, a quiet whisper of a world beyond your familiar shores. As you navigate the crowded streets, your ears, always tuned to the sounds of authority, now pick up something else, a distant, muffled boom from the harbor, a low, resonant sound unlike any drum or thunder. You hear it more often now, this deep thrum that hints at ships larger, more powerful than any you have seen. They are foreign, these vessels, and their presence, though unseen, stirs a new kind of ripple through the city's energy. You pass by a hidden tea house, its paper screens slightly ajar. Inside, you catch a glimpse of men, not samurai, bent over scrolls. But these are different. Not ancestral records, not religious texts, but something new. You hear hushed whispers, low and urgent, discussing ideas that, a generation ago, might have been unthinkable. These are quiet, revolutionary thoughts, spoken in hidden corners, slowly beginning to unravel the rigid fabric of the old ways. It's a subtle shift, like the underground stirrings before an earthquake, barely perceptible, yet undeniable. You notice new goods at the market. A vibrant bolt of cloth with an unfamiliar weave, a curious metal trinket, an exotic fruit you've never seen. These small, tangible objects are fragments of a larger world, slowly seeping into yours, challenging the long-held traditions and established order, the constant vigilance, the quickening pulse at the sight of a samurai is still ingrained, a deep, primal fear. Yet, you also observe something new in the eyes of your fellow commoners. Less outright terror, more wary curiosity. The collective bowed heads still appear, but there's a subtle stiffness, a hint of questioning that wasn't there before. The samurai themselves, though still powerful, seem to carry a different air. Their gazes, once purely dismissive, sometimes hold a flicker of unease, a subtle awareness of the changing tides. The strictness of their authority, while still absolute, feels less absolute. It's a vague sensation, a shift in the wind that can't be seen, only felt. You realize that the world, so long unchanging, is slowly, almost imperceptibly, beginning to transform. The seeds of change, carried by foreign winds and whispered ideas, are taking root. The brutal power of cutting down the rude fellow may yet wane, not in a sudden flash of steel, but in the slow, relentless erosion of an age-old fear, replaced by the persistent, unyielding tide of a new era. This is not a rebellion. The rustle of a passing stranger's kimono, a sound once capable of freezing your blood, still triggers a ghost of a flinch. A tiny, almost imperceptible twitch in your shoulders. It's an ingrained deference, a deep-seated habit etched into the very fiber of your being, passed down through generations. The samurai are gone, their power waned, their swords no longer a casual threat to common life. Yet the shadow of Kirasut Gomen lingers, a phantom limb of terror. You walk through the bustling market, a vibrancy returning to the air that wasn't there in your grandparents' time. The shouts of vendors are louder, more confident. Children laugh freely, chasing each other without a glance over their shoulders. Yet when an elder, his face a map of countless seasons, bows deeply to a passing official, not a samurai, but a civil servant, you see it. It's not just politeness, it's a profound, almost subconscious respect. A posture learned from a time when such a bow could mean the difference between life and death. The weight of that unspoken history hangs in the air, a silent language understood by all who lived through or heard tales of those brutal days. You sit in a quiet tea house, sipping bitter green tea, its warmth a familiar comfort. The conversation around you flows freely, discussing harvests, family, even distant political rumors. But every now and then, a certain word, a certain tone of voice will cause a momentary lull, a subtle shift in the air. It's a quiet acknowledgement of a past trauma, a collective memory that surfaces briefly before receding again. The fear isn't immediate, but the memory of it, the potential for it, remains. A deep current beneath the calmer waters of modern life. You look out at the serene beauty of the land, the rolling hills, the meticulous rice paddies, the distant, snow-capped peaks. It's a landscape that has witnessed centuries of change, of peace and war, of rigid hierarchies and slow transformations. And you realize this land, this people, are forever marked by that history, the deference, the quickness to avoid offense, the quiet, enduring resilience. These are not just characteristics, they are survival mechanisms, shaped by the brutal realities of a bygone era. You touch your own hand, noticing the subtle tremble that sometimes appears when an authoritative voice is raised, even when it's directed at another. It's a subconscious echo, a bodily memory of a terror your generation has largely been spared, but which still flows in the river of blood that connects you to your ancestors. The lingering shadow of the blade, though no longer an active threat, is woven into the very fabric of society, a permanent testament to the human condition's capacity